Hi everyone, this is Mike, and I want to talk about the integrative therapy that I practice. And I use three primary theories: person-centered, solution-focused, and cognitive behavioral. And on the surface, each of these is relatively straightforward. One might say simple. Of course, we all know, the devil's in the details. But think about it: person-centered. We all learn this in graduate school, social work, counseling, psychology. You create the environment for change, right? And then you use certain techniques like reflecting, right? So you have active listening and empathy, unconditional positive regard, right? Non-judgmental, right? And then you use you're congruent and authentic and genuine, right? And then you use the techniques, and basically techniques are you're reflecting and maybe clarifying and paraphrasing, right? Minimal encouragers, right? And basically, through this process, you help people get in touch with their authentic self. And there are no specific interventions. Like the process is the doing, right? That's what you do, right? It's not like systematic desensitization, right? You just kind of being with the person, you're connecting with them, and you're helping them be in touch with their emotions, being authentic, and it's through this process that change occurs. When a person it's kind of like the sacred space, the safe space, and when a person is in that environment where they can be their genuine, authentic self, they find out things about themselves, they learn about themselves, they can be open, free, and honest. And they're with another person, and they have this connection, and that process is the intervention. Of course, right? Easier said than done, right? So it's like you're really not supposed to ask questions, right? And give advice, and some people kind of, there's different variations. Not everyone is a purist, but even if you're just doing person-centered. It sounds like it makes sense, and it's simple in theory, but in practice, it's actually quite difficult. It's not easy. In fact, I remember watching the video with Gloria, with Carl Rogers, and she was very frustrated with him. She said, I want an answer, give me an answer, and he wouldn't give her an answer, right? Because that's not part of the theory, right? So so maintaining that stance is not easy. But you want to create the conditions. So why do people struggle with it? Well, that's a good question, because it's not as easy as it seems. Same thing with cognitive behavioral therapy, right? You say, well, people's thoughts impact their mood, right? They have irrational, distorted thoughts. And all you have to do is identify and dispute those thoughts, right? You identify their mind reading and fortune telling, the tyranny of the shoulds. You have that ABC form, right? The adversity or the problem, the issue, and their beliefs about the adversity, and it creates the consequences, the emotional and behavioral consequences, right? And so it's not the event that causes the emotional and behavioral consequences, it's your beliefs about them. And to the extent that they're irrational, they're going to create emotional distress, or at least unhealthy negative emotions versus negative. What could be easier? Yeah, you just identify distorted thoughts and you just fix them, and there you go. That's the end of it. Yeah, well, right. Same thing with person-centered. Yeah, you just listen, and you just non-judgmental, and you just kind of reflect back and summarize and paraphrase and clarify, and voila, you're done. That's it, right? And same thing with solution focus, right? The idea is, well, you're just looking for the best outcome, right? What are their best hopes, and you talk about that, and that's the goal. That's keep your eye on the ball, and you talk about the history of the best hope and the outcome, and what their preferred future is. That's kind of like one of the techniques is the miracle, not the only one, and then they have the current resources, and so again, what's their best hope of that particular session, of what they want out of that session, and again, what can be easier, right? Yeah, well, again, I've seen a lot of videos where people are posting about person-centered, and CBT and solution focus. And one of the things I've noticed again and again and again is people are having a hard time getting it. Like the people that are making these videos, half of their videos are when people are saying what they think the theory is, and it's not quite. Right? It's like, no, that's not quite. Well, it's not. No, like in person-centered, there's no intervention. There's not. You don't do. Again, it's not like you do relaxation techniques or exposure therapy or right. It's the process that's the doing. It's creating that environment and reflecting and paraphrasing in some way. That's the intervention. That's it. That's what, right? Same thing with with cognitive behavioral therapy. Again, a lot of people think it's very simple. Just you identify the distortions. Where's the evidence? And change. But a lot of people will say, well, okay, I understand intellectually that I'm mind reading and a fortune telling, I'm catastrophizing and the tyranny of the shoulds, and I'm overgeneralizing, and I'm globally rating myself, have some cognitive distortions and self-defeating beliefs, but on an emotional level, right? So a lot of the concerns or questions, how do you it's easy to do these things at a superficial level, but to do them really well is not as easy as it may seem. Now, is it as hard as it appears? Again, I do integrate. I'm integrating therapy. I have training in choice theory. Most of the recommendations, even when you're integrative, is it's really hard to be an expert in like 5 different therapies, or 5 different theories, because of the 10,000 hour rule. Whether you believe that or not, it's you still have to practice, right? So I'm going to be an expert in psychoanalysis, and an expert in Gestalt, and an expert in CBT, and an expert in transactional analysis, and an expert in psychodrama, and or IFS, and all this stuff. So the recommendation is you pick one theory as your core primary theory, and then you kind of add on. Now, when you're adding on, though, of course, you don't want to just take like a 1 hour continuing education class, So even though I'm certified in choice theory, reality therapy, I have extensive training in CBT and REBT. Again, I took trainings in NLP and positive psychology and in psychodrama. Took a 1-year experiential training in psychodrama, 1-year experiential training in Gestalt, about an 8-month training in transactional analysis. I did the EMDR, the part 1, part 2 trainings, so I'm not fully certified in those, but it's more than an hour or even a weekend course. It's more extensive than that. But I'm only really fully certified in choice theory. And again, I've taken trainings in solution focus. I took, again, from Elliot Connie and Adam Frere in their solution focused universe. And these are all wonderful, by the way. I would contact, if you're interested, William Glasser Institute and Albert Ellis and the Beck Institute and the Solution Focused Universe. And I really like, by the way, the technical eclecticism of like Arnold Lazarus with the multimodal. But again, a lot of these are simplistic on their surface, right? You just change people's thoughts, and you have the positive, the best hope and the outcome. And you just create a condition of empathy and being congruent and unconditional positive regard, and there you go. Voila, you're done, right? Hey, we're just about finished. I'll meet you for a cup of coffee. It's not that simple. And again and again and again, the people who are experts in these fields, that do have the 10,000 hours plus in these fields, they're constantly clarifying. Like, people think they know. But it's amazing how people are just, it's like they get it, but they don't get it. And I'm not blaming the people, because I was the same way. It's like, well, what do you mean? What are you talking about? You just look for the best hope and the best outcome. You just kind of keep asking those questions, right? I want to be happy. I want to have a better relationship with someone. Okay, yeah, great. So, when did you feel that way in the past, right? And then in the future, and you woke up and there was a miracle happened, right? And just I'm actively listening, and I'm trying to. So what you're saying is, what I'm hearing you say, it sounds like you're feeling really stressed or anxious right now, right? Or and again, your mind reading, or your maybe we need to do some systematic desensitization or exposure technique. And it's not that those things are wrong, by the way, but as I said, the way you apply them is a lot trickier. And so what's the problem? So I'm going to talk about, I'm going to integrate the person-centered and solution-focused and the broad cognitive behavioral choice theory, REBT, CBT, so positive psychology. And I'm going to explain how I do that. And but I want you to understand that as I'm presenting this, I learn by having a very structured way of doing things, and then I come into my own and I feel more comfortable about it and I get more creative. It's kind of like when you go to the gym. If you go to the gym and you work out, there's a certain way you do the exercise, and then once you learn that way, you twist it up, you move it around a little bit, you feel a little bit more comfortable, you get creative. Same thing if you're playing an instrument, right, or you're learning a language, right? You do it at least I do it by rote. Tell me how to do it. I want to know how to do it. A, B, C, D, E, right? And of course, therapy is not A, B, C, and E, right? It's a dance. You kind of going right. But what I'm going to say is, and I'm going to talk about the solution-focused piece today. So basically, with solution-focused, the idea is what is the best outcome? What is the best hope for the therapy session that you're currently having? Not this kind of grandiose best hope, although people do have that. But in terms of our working together today, what is your best hope? Now I'm gonna make a couple of statements so that I might get dinged on, and that's okay. I have a lot of respect for the people in the field, just like I have a lot of respect for the people that took over the Albert Ellis Institute. There's Steve Johnson and Ray DiGiuseppe and Christian Doyle and wonderful people. David Burns was wonderful. Judith Beck, Elliot Connie, and Adam Frere, and it's great people. So if there's any mischaracterization, if that's I own that. It's not on them. Going to get might get these nasty emails from them. I'm not going to get. They're all very nice people. They wouldn't send anything nasty. But just the point is that this is on me. It's not them. So what I'm going to say is this. If you're doing solution focused, and I'm going to talk about cognitive behavior, I'm going to talk about person-centered, because I'll tell you very briefly my approach is I start off with the person-centered techniques. When I'm meeting a client, now I'm going to present it in a very structured way, but that's not how it really works, just so you know. But let's say I do a 45-minute session. I spend approximately the first 15 minutes just doing a lot of person-centered listening, active listening, making them feel comfortable, non-judgmental, unconditional positive regard, and reflecting and just summarizing and clarifying. And then the second part is a lot of the solution focus, because I want to get what is their best outcome, what is their best hope, and a lot of that's very motivating, by the way. It motivates people to achieve when they kind of have this image. And then sometimes I use some of the, for the last part, some of the interventions, the CBT, the mood log, and that kind of stuff. Now, can you do person-centered all the way through? Of course, a lot of people do. Can you do solution-focused? It's its own theory. A lot of people say, well, it's like it's techniques that you incorporate into other theories. Now, solution-focused is its own theory. And of course, cognitive behavioral and REBT and choice theory. But most people don't do that. Most people will learn about CBT to incorporate into their therapy. A lot of people will incorporate Gestalt therapy. A lot of people will want to do motivational interviewing, NLP, solution-focused. So a lot of, when you go online and you look at a lot of these trainings, these are people that this is what they do. Now that doesn't mean they don't incorporate things as well, but you're getting a kind of as close to a pure form as possible. And most of us don't do that. So now, by the way, when I say kind of break this down, the first 15 minutes is to get kind of person-centered, kind of developing that rapport and that connection, and making the client feel comfortable and trying to understand. And then I want to know what their outcome is. I want to know what they want, and that's how do we get them very motivating, and then maybe some of the techniques to help that happen. But it's not that rigid, of course. It's not like after the first 15 minutes, okay, the first 15 minutes of person-centered is up, no more empathy for you. The empathy part is done, no more positive. We're going to go into the SFBT, social focused brief therapy. No, of course not. You incorporate it throughout the session, right? I mean, I don't want to get that rigid, but I do have somewhat of a process, and that's because I'm integrative. I'm not just doing cognitive or solution focus. Now, when I'm doing solution focus, and you ask when the situation switches from some of the more person-centered beginning and introductory stuff to, well, what is your best hope, the best outcome that you want for our talk today, for our talking today. I'm going to tell you what I do. First of all, like most of you, I do an intake. So the first time I meet a client, usually it's one session, sometimes it's two. That's where you get a lot of your information, by the way. So when they do SFBT and they do resources, you get that in the intake. They went to college, went to graduate school, they had this job, they had that job, they were on the swim team, they were on the gymnastics team, they were the president of their fraternity, whatever. But those are resources. Those are great things that you can use to generate questions that are relevant to your client. But I will say that with the best hope, there is a sense that clients want something. They want a feeling and they want thoughts. So whatever the person is, let's say the person is, let's take some really tough stuff. They have an incurable illness, or they're in prison. They got fired. Well, we can't fix that, right? We can't fix that. So what's their best hope? Well, to get out of prison. We can't fix that. To be cured. Can't fix that. I want a new job. I'm not a career guy. I'm not a recruiter. I'm not, What do they want? Well, I'm going to make a broad statement here. They want what we all want. Now, there's a range, of course, but they want to be happy. They want to feel fulfilled. They want to feel they matter. They want joy and optimism and hope. But we want to feel calm, cool, calm, and collected. We want to feel accepted. We want to feel proud. We want to feel successful. And we also want to think things. What do we want to think? We want to think we're worthy. I'm deserving. I matter. I'm lovable. So there are universal thoughts and feelings that we all want to have. Now, I've just mentioned a whole bunch. Do we all want all of them? Well, on a good day, I could say, yeah, we probably do. But even if we just want some of them, I don't know what the exact one is. So that's why you never go in with a preconceived notion. But in general, people aren't coming in, because they want to be miserable. They ultimately, we want to be happy, satisfied, fulfilled. We want to feel like we belong, that we matter, that we're important. A person who's dying wants to feel like their life matters. They want to feel loved. That they've accomplished something. They want to think that I'm a good person, I've done good, and I'm okay. A person in prison wants to feel like they have some control, that they're not worthless, right? That they're worthy, that they're worthwhile, right? A person that lost their job doesn't want to feel like a loser. They want to feel empowered. They want to feel important. They want to feel good about themselves. They want to feel happy, hopeful, and optimistic. How that presents is going to be different. And that's why they say, you have to deal with people as an individual. So, for example, I remember when I was training, I would do CBT, and I would have some supervisors say, every person you're talking to, you do the CBT stuff. And I said, well, yeah, because I'm a CBT therapist. Well, you can't treat people like they're the same. I said, well, I'm not. The theory is the same, but I'm interacting with people as individuals. I don't just record myself, put a speaker in front of the client, press play, and there you go. I have to respond to the people in front of me, right? That's not like solution focus. You don't just record into a machine. What's your best hope? What would that look like? What would you be doing? What would significant people in your life notice? When did that occur in the past? You went to sleep in a miracle, and then you press play. And no, you have to respond to the person in front of you. They use different words, different languages. They have different understandings of what they're not using your language or what you want. So you have to adjust, right? But I do think it's fair to say that there are some outcomes that are pretty universal. There's emotions that are universal within a range, and thoughts about ourselves that people have. That there's a range, but that we have. And so we want to help people get to that, remember that outcome. And now the question that people ask is, just like with person-centered, they say, okay, so you're creating an environment, right? You're listening, you're empathy, you're non-judgmental, unconditional positive regard, you're reflecting, paraphrasing, you're summarizing. So when do we do it? So when do you do it? Well, what do you mean? You are doing it. The process is to do it. Like people think, well, but when are you going to get to the techniques? No, that environment, that safe space, right? The reflecting and the paraphrasing. That's the doing. That you're doing it. You're doing it, right? Now, in its pure form, same thing with solution-focused brief therapy. In its pure form, asking the questions, best outcome, and the history and the resources and the preferred future, and that you're doing it. Now, a lot of people will say to me, and this is what makes the difference with some integrative stuff. But some people might say, Mike, you're talking about the history, right? Because what you want to do is, well, when did you feel confident in the past? And you're trying to figure out, like, what were the circumstances that were going on in the past that you can then use to apply to today, right? So they're not feeling confident now, but they were feeling confident in the past, right? So what were some of the strategies? What were the things they were doing in the past? And maybe we can use that as a template and to have them recreate it now so they can feel the same confidence now that they did then, right? And I would say, no, that is not pure SFBT. It's not a means to an end. Now, in integrative, you can. Like, I could do that, right? That's like a strategy. What is your strategy? NLP does that a lot, right? And you kind of look and say, well, if you were doing like 5 things in the past that made you feel confident, what if you did those 5 things today? Could you replicate the confidence today that you felt then? That's what a person might do if they're integrated. If you're just doing pure SFBT, you don't need to do that. The intervention is in the questions. They're not a means to an end, right? You're not asking the questions to find a strategy to use to help today. Now, by the way, could a client do that? Could they come to that conclusion on their own? You bet. You bet, right? As you're talking and you're asking, well, what would you look like? And when did that occur? And how did you know? And when you're asking those questions, they may come up with, wait a minute, I was doing that, and you don't make that connection for them in a pure SFBT. You're just asking the questions. What's their best hope for the talk today? What's the outcome they want? Just look at the preferred future. It's the history of the outcome. Right? What resources do you have? What are some exceptions? Right? The exceptions question. Right? Some people with scaling, right? But again, it's asking those questions. That's the intervention. Asking solution-focused questions, outcome-based questions. Always bringing it back to that. It's not that you don't have to talk about the problem, but talk about the problem in terms of looking at the outcome, right? It's not problem-focused. It's not that you never talk about a problem. It's not problem-focused, solution-focused, or outcome-focused. So once you know what the outcome is, and we do, we know the emotions that, I'm going to argue, and I know people might ding me on this, but I'm going to argue that the outcome, everyone's outcome, is some positive emotion, whichever ones they are, and positive thoughts about themselves. Because the circumstance, I can't get someone out of prison. I can't, I can't get them a job. I can't cure their illness. But for person-centered and providing the right environment and the conditions for change to occur, in solution-focused, in talking about outcome-based, best hope. Though they're actually quite similar, even though they seem very different, that the intervention is in the process itself. The theory is the intervention, right? The environment and the best hopes, best outcome questions. That's it. You don't need more. Well, but don't you then take those answers and then figure out like a homework? No. No, not if you're doing it pure. Now, do I sometimes? You bet. Oh yeah, because again, I'm integrative, right? So, but what I'm saying is, do you need to know? No, you do not. And I think that's what people have a hard time understanding. So, I think, again, I don't want to, it's the old saying that you want something to be simple, but not too simple, right? It's simple enough, but not overly simple, right? So, yes, CBT and solution-focused and person-centered, in some ways, are simple in that I think we get it, right? I think we get, you create the conditions, you have empathy, you're a human being to another human being. You're there with them, you're listening, right? And you're reflecting, and CBT, right? Your thoughts impact how you feel about yourself. You call yourself stupid all the time, right? You think nobody likes you. Yes, it's going to hurt, right? And so, solution focused, right? The positive outcome, right? That's where that's where we want to live. We want to have this outcome, this wonderful outcome that we've experienced before, right? And that's the idea. Well, no one wants an outcome that they haven't experienced, right? It's like we want to feel confident because we felt it in the past. We want to feel it again. Now, look, in theory, could it be that a person never felt confident, but they still want to feel confident because they know of the concept of confidence? They've heard, like, we all know we're supposed to feel confident. So is it possible that no one ever felt it, but they want to feel it? I guess, in theory, I guess it's possible. But my guess is, in most cases, we want to feel something. We want an outcome because we've experienced it before, and we want to experience it again. So I don't want to minimize this, but the reason I'm making this video is, unless you've chosen to spend those 10,000 hours making these theories your theory, you can still use them successfully in an integrative way without being the 10,000 hour expert. But I have noticed in watching a lot of these videos that people are struggling with it. CBT, or the ABC model, but it seems so simple. Why am I not getting it? Why am I not, the person-centered? This is like counseling 101. We all learned this like our first semester or first year in counseling or social work or psychology. Why is it? I don't know. I thought I was doing it right. Solution focus, the miracle question and the exceptions, the outcome, But in video after video, the people who really are the experts are sharing that the questions people are asking about all these theories, there's still a lot of questions. People are confused. People are not, I thought I got it. I'm not getting it? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Huh? Why? Why is there such this confusion? And again, part of it is, if it's not your theory and you're not spending the 10,000 hours, of course, right? It's like anything else. So I think that's part of it. But I also think that part of it is that it's that getting a more philosophical, I hate to even say it like that, a philosophical understanding, a conceptual understanding, a theoretical frame to guide you. And I know none of the theories would like when I say, oh, you break it down, you break your sessions down to 15 minutes, and then and then you go, from the person-centered technique to kind of making them feel comfortable and understood, non-judged and accepting, and then you kind of like, okay, now what's your outcome, and when did that occur, and okay, and then you bring in some CBT, where, okay, the very thing that SFBT doesn't need, which is using the example from the past to apply to the future. SFBT pure doesn't need that. But if I'm bringing in CBT, I could do that. Right? Or like that's NLP, using strategies. What was your strategy for being confident in the past? Can we do it in the future? I can bring that in as an integrative therapist. If you're doing it pure, you don't need to, right? So I know they're not going to like when I say, well, what's the outcome? Well, we all know. Well, we know what people like. Come on, they want to be happy. Now, I'm simplifying it, but they want to feel that they make a difference. They've made a difference in this life, and variations of that. I know they may not like that, and of course, you don't go in assuming that, and you have to use their language and their vision. Right? You can't just. But we know that that's what that people want. We know in CBT, people are thinking thoughts that are irrational. Right? They're mind reading, they're fortune telling, the tyranny of the shoulds. They're globally rating themselves. They're catastrophizing. Right? We know that. We know that going in. And it's okay. It's okay to have questions. What I'm going to say is a lot of people say, don't have a cheat sheet in front of you. I'm going to tell you it's okay. It's okay to have a cheat sheet. I had the ABC Albert Ellis model in front of me. I had David Byrne's mood log. I have the outlines of from the Beck. I have the solution-focused questions, a whole list in front of me. I do. I did for a long time, and I still do. It's okay. I'm telling it's okay. They may not say it's okay. I'm telling you it's okay. It's okay. And you're going to struggle. You're going to feel like an imposter. Keep going. Don't give up. You're going to get it. You're going to get it. There's going to come a point, just like with clients, where it makes sense. I get it. I get it. It's like magic, right? And I'm sure you've seen that with your clients. You're working with them. They're struggling. I don't know. And then one day, it clicks. It all makes sense. It is like magic, right? Same thing with you. But I think we give up, right? We're worried about the right questions because we want to ask the right questions. I have this cheat sheet in front of me. Okay, if your best friend saw you acting the way you outcome your best hope is, what would they notice that you'd be doing differently? Okay, and then you get an answer. What else would you notice? Initially, and I know people are not going to like this, initially, it's okay. It's okay, because you're learning. You want to be good at this. You're going to struggle. You're going to flub it. You're going to make mistakes. Right? You're going to feel like an imposter. You'll get it. You'll get it. The ABC model. What's the adversity? The adversity is I was stuck in traffic. What was the emotion? Anger and stress and frustration. Okay. What were you thinking? My boss is going to fire me. Okay. Well, what's the distortion? Mind reading. Okay. How do you dispute it? Okay. Now again, it's not smooth. It's not elegant, right? You'll get there. Just like you've gotten there in other things you work really hard at. It's okay. It's okay to make mistakes. And again, unless it's your core theory, you're not going to be as good as these guys, these men and women who are, because that's their thing, right? So of course they are. So of course you're going to, so you mean like in SFBT, I've used this example many times. So you mean in SFBT, we asked for the history background, when they felt courage, they want to be courageous. When did you feel courage in the past? Oh, good. So now we can use that past example to give them courage today, right? And they're going to say, no. But just talking about when they felt courageous, just doing that changes the mind. It changes their thought. That's where the change comes. We don't have to we don't have to do anything with it. That's what they'll say, because that's the primary theory. And you say, then you're going to have doubt. Oh, damn it! I thought I knew this. Why can't I get this? The history of I thought you used the history to prepare for the present. Oh my God! You can. I sometimes do. You can. Yes. But the people that are doing it might say, no, you don't need to do that at all. You don't have to do anything other than what you're doing. It's okay. So anyway, I just wanted to explain, and I'm going to have more of these videos. I know this is a really long video. I think it's one of the longest ones I've ever had. But it was really important for me because I did notice in a lot of these videos on person-centered, solution-focused, and cognitive, there's a lot of the videos are the experts talking, and that people, like, it's like they're missing, like they don't understand it, like, right, they're asking questions, and not in a critical way, not in a nasty way, but just an understanding. They're trying to help people. Don't worry about it. It's not this, it's that. But I notice this happens a lot, and it is happening in theories that you would think, at least superficially, are simple, right? Person-centered, right? Just create the conditions, and cognitive, the ABC, and change your thoughts, and solution focus. You have the outcome and the best hopes. What could be easier? Easy peasy, right? Not so fast. So anyway, I hope you felt this was helpful, and I look forward to going into this a little bit more next time. But please check out the Albert Ellis Institute, the William Glasser, Aaron Beck. They're all great. I think they're wonderful. Solution focused again. Elliot Connie and Anna Ferrer, the solution focused universe. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I don't know how they're going to feel about me, but I find them to be absolutely wonderful. And I'm here in New York, and New York's tough customers, right? Just as an aside, I have a background. I was a lawyer and did some family law, and so I'm very good at the Socratic method. I really like that, And then I was a teacher. I was a high school special education teacher here in New York, mostly in the Bronx and East Harlem, and then a social worker now. And so I've had the opportunity to use these techniques over the many years that I've been doing this, and with students, and anyway, it's a wonderful thing, and so I'm going to have more of these. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Please visit these different trainings and these different theories. I think you're really going to get a lot out of it. They're really wonderful theories. There's wonderful people who are doing these theories. And anyway, if you have any questions, ask, and I look forward to seeing you next video. Take care. Bye-bye.